Yeah, I mean, I thought, we challenged our guys specifically even Saturday morning before we got on the buses. Go and play Auburn football. What is Auburn football? It's at receiver, being more physical. I mean, attacking footballs, being physical with it after the catch. It's at running back, not to be tackled, and protecting the football. Obviously at quarterback, finding a way to help your team win on the O-line, dominating the line of scrimmage. And when you turn on the film, I mean, you see that up front. I felt like our offensive line, was pretty dominant for the most part. Very physical. We're knocking guys not only off the ball, we're knocking them on their back. I felt like the running backs ran hard. They didn't put the ball on the ground 2 weeks in a row now at running back. I know we had the fumble with Nick. That's not acceptable, but the running backs protected the ball. And then at receiver, we made some big plays. You got Ricardo Lewis stepping up. I know Sammy dropped the one, but man, he made some really big plays too. And then what I loved the most was you got Ricardo on a reverse. Instead of going to bounce, he sticks his head down and gets another 8 yards. You got Sammy Coates catching a hitch, turning it out for 10, and catching another one and just throwing the DB aside and getting 7 more yards. That mentality was what I was most proud of, because I felt like really out of the gates, we made sure they knew, hey, we're here to play and we're going to be a more physical team today. And I felt like at the end of the day, in the fourth quarter, that's when it paid off.
Nick said that he thinks his number one thing he's got to work on is the timing throws to the
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I think that's been the biggest adjustment for him with our system is the timing throws, and instead of just kind of dropping back and finding people. You see he's a little more comfortable when things break down than the timing throws, and we're just going to keep working. Obviously, I thought Nick played a really good football game, but there were some throws out there that we got to make. We just have to make. To win moving forward, we have to make them, and he knows that. And there's some times that maybe the ball's not going to be right here. It may be here. Our wideouts, we got to start making those catches to help us out. It goes both ways, but nobody's working harder. He's throwing it well in practice. We got to carry it over to the game.
Been seeing that type of thing out of Marcus that we saw late in the game in practice.
Yeah, that was a great catch. I tell you, it's no secret that the guys like Marcus, who's come in and right out of the gates hasn't acted like a freshman. He's earned our trust pretty quick. And he's just made big play after big play, whether it's the touchdown, his first of the career on a 3rd and goal from the 17, whether it's the 2-minute drive against Mississippi State or the other night. I mean, he doesn't play like a freshman, and that was a huge catch. Definitely wasn't looking forward to a 4th and 9 call there, I can promise you that.
Some of your skill guys kind of showing that extra desire yesterday. Sammy threw that defensive back down to the floor or to the grass. What do you think about that?
I mean, I thought that was huge. Like I said, that's what we challenged them to do. We've got some guys that, like I said, they're Ricardo, you got a true sophomore. Sammy's a sophomore. Those guys now, they're 7 games into this season, and I think they're starting to gain confidence more and more with each game. Quan made a great catch on the touchdown. I mean, attacking that football is a great throw, but attacking that ball, not giving the defender any chance to get involved. I mean, it's just going to be a work in progress as far as continuing to get more consistent with the timing passes. The deep balls, the quick throws, those are okay, but those timing passes we got to hit more.
Right. Once it's inside goal to go on that final offensive drive, how much are you guys thinking about the clock and giving the ball back to him, and how much you want to try and not score quickly?
Well, I think there's a couple things. No doubt, we want to leave him as little time as possible because he doesn't need much. We got the ball. I think we had 5 minutes or so, 5 minutes and 5 seconds. We had to go about 75 and. First of all, running had been what we started spreading them out. We kind of adjusted, spread them out to run the ball, and that had really been working with the read zone. And so that's what we stuck with. We had to make a few plays to move the chains, Marcus being one. But, at some point, the first thing is you got to score, period. And then as you get down there, I know when Trey's play was being reviewed, we're going to have a 1st and goal to 2. That's when we were in our head starting to go, okay, there's a minute 20. If this isn't a touchdown, and you go back and forth, man, we want to leave them as little time as possible. At the same time, you got to score. I mean, the last thing you want to do is not get 3 shots from the 2 and have to kick a field goal and try to go to overtime. And so, luckily, it was a touchdown for us. We didn't have to worry about that, but we were conscious of it. I mean, it's a great question, but at the same time, you got to get the score and of course, trust your defense. And man, they came up big and stopped them.
Can you talk about Trey a little bit? I mean, he really ran with a little bit extra burst, especially, and the confidence y'all have. Really focus on him on that final drive. He was the guy.
Yeah, I mean, Trey played great. Trey ran hard. I mean, the 4th and 1 call early was not there, and he gets 3 out of it. Everybody knows about the touchdown run being a great effort, or the 3rd and 1 where he busted for 50 or whatever it was down the sidelines. But to me, I think in that game-winning drive, we had a 2nd and 10. When we hand him the ball, and he's not going anywhere. I mean, it was pretty much stopped, and he drives the pile for about 6 more yards, and now we're in 3rd and 3 or 4 instead of 3rd and 9. Those little things make a big difference. And I'll say this now, we got all the confidence in the world in Cameron, and it's kind of the last 2 games, this one and the Ole Miss game, Trey kind of was the hot hand, I guess you could say. But you can see in the middle of the series, we have no problem putting Cam in. He finished off one of the touchdown drives, and we probably need to get him more carries. But the good thing about it is Cam's fresh at the end of the game. And but I thought Trey ran very determined. I mean, just like I'm not going to be denied. And he was one of the vocal leaders too on the sidelines in the 4th quarter.
Rhett, you got a lot of teams that are no huddle, up tempo teams. The running game really is mostly off the passing game.
Right.
Y'all obviously, as Coach Malzahn has said numerous times, downhill running,
No
play
question.
action team. Just how important is that to be able to, in your scheme, to be able just to hand it off to the running back as opposed to trying to trick somebody or?
It's huge. I think, it allows you to be a physical football team. And even though we spread it out a lot and we go fast, it allows you to have a physical mindset. And in our league, you have to do that. You can work more on, fundamentals. We're going to block the right guys. We're going to go downhill, whether it's a read play or not. And, we want running backs to run the ball. I mean, I know Nick's doing a really good job running the football, and that's an added weapon. But we got to have running backs, and we feel like we do, that can make yards. And that, in our opinion, is the balance we're looking for that's going to set up the pass. And if we're sitting here today and we hit 2 or 3 of those throws we didn't hit, I mean, we'd have thrown for over 300 yards and still rushed for over 300. So, because if you saw late in the game, their safeties are 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. Because at some point they can't help but stop that run. Because there's a lot less that can go wrong running the football than throwing the football. And so it's just a matter of us making enough plays, not only to hurt teams when they bring them down, but to where we can say, hey, if we want to throw it, we're going to throw it. But right now, running the football has been a big plus for us.
What's been the key with the zone reads improvement?
I think reps and time. I mean, Nick's got more and more reps at it. He's got more and more reps with Trey and Cameron in game. We work it all the time in practice, but in game reps, you get a bunch of different looks in the game. I mean, especially when you're having success, that last drive or two, I mean, they were doing all kinds of different stuff every play that our line's just having to adjust to. And you just got to trust your reads and follow your rules and play. And, the more reps you get at it, the better. I think, obviously, Nick, being the threat he is when he does keep the football, obviously is what helps it out when we do hand it to the running back.
Could you talk about the job Nick did just as a leader on the field, sort of being in control of the huddle and the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's shown it now in a couple games that were either tight or, coming down to the last, so to speak, drive. I mean, he's just got a calmness about him. He knows how to win. And whether it's throwing for over 300 against Mississippi State or against Ole Miss or A&M, doing more with his feet, he's not rattled. And, when something bad happens, like he misses a few throws in a row, which happened in the 2nd quarter and what stalled us a couple times, or we fumbled, he's done a good job of having a short memory and going forward and getting on the next drive. And his teammates believe in him. I know he believes in them, and that's been a positive for us. I felt like when the defense was about to give up that score to put us down by 3 late, it looked like they were going to score. Our guys on the sidelines, and Nick being one of them, they were very confident.
What's a typical discussion between you and him? If he makes a bad throw or something on 3rd down, comes to the sidelines, what sort of interaction?
I'm one of those, coach him really hard in practice, and in practice you can't accept anything, you got to push them. But on game day it's a little different. I think, there's certain things like fumbles can't be tolerated. I'm going to get on you pretty good if you fumble the football or things like that. And every now and then you miss a guy who's wide open, but the quarterback's got to live to the next play. Whether it was a good play the play before, a 70-yard touchdown pass, or whether you messed up, the next play is what matters. And you got to coach it and make sure that we don't have an issue that we don't understand what's going on, or try to fix it or help him with. But as far as just jumping on down somebody's throat, in my opinion, doesn't help him on the next play lead his team. I want to know I got confidence in him that, hey, you missed it last time, but I know you're going to hit it the next time, and move forward. And then we'll work on fixing the problems the next week. And I'm usually trying to find, hey, what'd you see? I mean, help me. First, I want to know, what did you see and what were you thinking, instead of me just go talk to you. Why did you do that, or why do you think you missed it? And usually getting that feedback from them helps the dialogue.
Rhett, how does the focus change from handling adversity in games and for the guys who were here last year, handling the adversity and being through the down times of last year, to now handling the success of you guys now being a top 15 team and being now a team that a lot of teams in the future opponents now are going to be focusing on trying to knock off a top 15, top 10 team in you guys?
Yeah, there's no different. There's no question that there's a different I guess, expectation or situation that comes with people hunting you more so to speak. And I think the best thing our guys have done is just kind of work on what they can control. And all we can control is FAU. We got to win this week. We got to get win number 7. And if you don't do that, nothing else matters. And so, that is a big challenge, see how mature we are. I feel like our guys have responded when we've asked them to respond to things so far this year. And so that's where we're going. We're worried about one thing this week. Who cares where we're ranked?
Rhett, Jeremy Johnson got a couple throws in, and I know you guys said you had a plan, didn't really have any details to it, but how close was what happened to what the plan is? Do you want to use it more?
Well, the plan was not to put Jeremy in for play and bring him out, the way it kind of unfolded. We had packages, we had plays for Jeremy, we had things that were in the plan that some we didn't get to for maybe how they were playing us, some, just the way the game unfolded. I thought Nick was playing really well, but there was a plan no matter how Nick was playing to get Jeremy infused in certain ways, and it didn't involve putting him in for a play and taking him out. We don't want to get into that scenario. It just unfortunately went that way, and I thought he did well. 2 throws, you come in cold, they're not easy to make. They weren't terrible throws. We got to hit them. But the plan will change week to week moving forward, but it'll be a plan that is clearly defined, at least from our side of things, because we feel like there's certain things he brings to the table and does well, and we want to put him in a position to be successful.
Rhett, yesterday, Coach Malzahn mentioned that you deserve a lot of credit for how well the offense played, and he said that when it comes to calling plays, you guys do it together. Without really, I guess, maybe giving away too much, how does that actually work? Because he kind of said, this is what I'm seeing, and you guys go back and forth, or how does that work?
There's a lot of times it just depends on the flow of the game. We game plan each week, we get in the game. When we're in a drive, if he's feeling good and in a rhythm, you let him go. And a lot of times, hey, what do you want here? What do you like here? And we just dialogue, and here's what we got on this play. And in drive, it's different every time, to be honest with you. But in between series, when he can go be head coach and worry about what's going on with defense and special teams, I can get with Coach Grimes and all those other coaches. We can make adjustments. And then I can get with him on the side and say, here's what we're getting, here's what we need to do, here's how we need to attack it. And now we're on the same page going into that next drive. And I think that, obviously frees him up to be the head coach. But
it really just varies drive to drive, what you're saying?
Well, we do it the same in between drives, but it just depends. Sometimes it's pretty easy. You know what you're getting. You don't have to say a lot. You both are on the same page. A lot of times, they're starting to do different things. Like they were doing at times the other night to stop runs. We finally had to make an adjustment, spread them out to run the football. It ended up being a good adjustment, and we just communicate. I guess I don't think of it maybe as detailed as you're asking. It's a great question just because we just do it. It's happened for so long. And, the major adjustments happen at halftime and sometimes in between series if there's something specifically we see, and it just works.
You guys talk right before the Marcus Davis play? How that
like literally right before the play?
Yeah, or was it? What is he saying? Should we do this or that, or was he in a rhythm?
Well, the play before they were starting to play zero coverage to stop the run, and we knew that if we could hit Sammy on the glance post, he'd score, and obviously we missed the throw, and so now you're in 3rd and 9, and I think we were just we went ahead and kind of got at the line, tried to see what they're in. So happened to be they gave us a similar play. And, we just got to have confidence to call it again. And he had 2 reads. He went to his second read, which was Marcus. It was a matchup we had talked about all week. We thought we could get good matchups, whether it be him or CJ that we had missed earlier in the game on wheel routes. And, he made a pretty good throw, and he made an even better catch. And, so, yeah, there was dialogue there for sure.
Rhett,